Ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
To defeat an enemy, you must know them. Not just their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art. Welcome to the Chiss Ascendancy podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to
The Chiss Ascendancy.
We are in episode 118.
That's pretty quality.
Pretty great.
Have you seen that little kid who goes places to watch them turn the lights turn off?
No.
He's got like a massive Instagram channel.
Okay.
Definitely got autism. But there was one time he was at like a Cavender's or something, and he's always just like, hi, ladies and gentlemen. But this time he goes, howdy, po-nos. And so that's been
awesome.
my little tick here lately.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We are in part 2 of The Last Command. This is part 2 of The Last Command.
Are you
read-through.
sure?
I'm 100% sure.
Are you sure?
Last week was part 1. That means
Are
this is
you sure?
I'm quite certain.
All right.
But we are in the third book of our Heir to the Empire trilogy, also known as the Thrawn trilogy read-through. If you're new or you're tuning in for the first time in a while, welcome. And what we've been doing for the last several weeks is reading one issue of the Thrawn trilogy per week.
Man, if you're just now watching this series,
doing?
I'm so sorry.
You're just jumping in. We've been kind of off the rails here these last couple of weeks, but I think we're going to be on track this one. I got a good feeling about this week.
Maybe.
Yeah, right.
I don't like my chances, I'll be honest with you. I was just, I had to do a work podcast, and I was talking to my coworker, and I was like, I think we discuss ideas more like a sawed-off shotgun than a sniper rifle, so let's go ahead and try and dial back into what we were
Were you
reading.
talking about us, or were you talking about the work podcast?
No, the work podcast, because we'll, talk about, one main idea, and then it'll kind of, waterfall off into other smaller but related ideas. Mm-hmm. But I was like, we gotta bring this one home, friendo.
If your seemingly much more organized work podcast is a shotgun, we're like a flashbang. Like, we'll be like
Clear.
Yeah, we're in The Last Command Volume 2, and we'll tie it back to Five Foot Goes West somehow at this point in this episode.
I'll find a way.
But when we open up the episode,
People don't love the burnt peanut because he plays video games. People love him for what he says,
the burnt peanut.
Are you not familiar with the burnt peanut? He's my favorite video game streamer right now. He's so friggin' funny. I'll show you some clips.
So what's the shtick?
He's really funny, man. Well, I guess his shtick is he's what you would call a VTuber. He doesn't actually he doesn't show his face. He shows it's like a skin that he's a peanut. Okay. But he has it like a rotation, so he has like different costumes that his peanut is wearing. So sometimes it's like a McDonald's uniform, or sometimes he's wearing like a hat and goggles like for one of the video games he plays, or sometimes he'll be wearing like a Master Chief helmet.
His commentary is just funny?
Freaking hilarious, dude.
That's nice.
He's great.
What are your thoughts on the artwork for this one?
The front page artwork? It looks like if...
that one, no.
That's the one I'm going to talk about. It looks like if Mara Jade was drawn by the Mer people from Harry Potter.
Okay,
I can see like that. This, like they're reading The Last Command, and you're like, this is what I think she looks like based on what our faces look like.
Yeah.
I didn't mind the illustrations in comic as much as you seem to really not like last week's. I think this is the most accurately portrayed Leia that we see. Yes. Leia looks really good. I think Han and I think the original characters look really good.
In this art style, because from book to book to
book, it changes. It's different. Yeah, it's different illustrators.
I definitely like the first book the best.
I think you just got used to it, and then you're like, this isn't what I'm used to.
This is the most cartoony of the versions.
I could see where you would...
No, the first one's the most cartoony. Okay. That's why I like it.
Okay. I was like, I feel like this is pretty realistic.
No, this one's definitely more realistic, which I don't like.
I do like how accurately the original characters are drawn.
Yeah, I agree.
Funny enough, the only character that seems to look exactly the same in all three versions is Winter. Winter looks the same to me in all three. The other ones, you're like, who's this witch?
Classic.
My wife and I were watching a Harry Potter marathon, which we managed to finish by sheer force of will. We always seem to start one, and then we never finish it.
When was this?
Like last week.
Okay.
And we started over Christmas, but it's Harry Potter's, and we both work, and, life happens. So we watch it in like 30-minute installments before bed. And I was like, and it was at this scene in the sixth film that my father questioned, who's this witch, to Ginny Weasley, one of the main characters since the second film.
Yep.
So we kind of, that's kind of a family running joke.
Not only is she one of the main characters, but going back to your point, the second film, The Chamber of Secrets, she's like one of the main characters.
Yeah, she's important, I would say.
Yeah.
I would go so far as to say she's important.
Right in the beginning of this, when we jump into a space battle.
Yeah, right into it.
And you know what I was thinking? I've been trying to read a lot more books recently.
Yeah, I saw your nice little what I'm reading this year.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading so far this month. The Luke Skywalker and the Shadows of Mindor has actually been really cool.
Nice.
I'm probably going to make a video about this at some point, but the way that they paint... Okay, so there's a clone trooper named Click. Klick, which is basically short for kilometer.
Not quite as cool as Pick and Waffle, but I'll allow it.
Yeah. So, but he's a very cool character, and this is after Return of the Jedi. Yes, this is post Return of the Jedi because they're talking about the death of the Emperor.
Okay.
So check this out. He's a clone trooper still. Okay, from like the original Camino batch.
So he's like, when was this written?
This is Legends.
Right, but what decade was it written in?
Like 2010 maybe?
Oh, okay, so we have like clones.
Yes, he's a Camino.
Because I know like even in this series it's talked about like the Clone Wars, but I wasn't sure what the understanding was.
Shadows of Mindor release. It came out in 2008. Okay. So, here's the interesting thing. So I'm like 50 pages in. I just started chapter 4. And the thing that's very interesting about the idea that this particular faction of the Imperial Remnant is sending out is that they believe that Palpatine obviously was good, right?
Right.
They believe that Vader killed Anakin, who was the last true remaining Jedi that was loyal to the Republic and the Chancellor. Mm-hmm. And that Vader wanted to install himself as the Emperor eventually, who was his closest friend, but was a frail old man. And that when the Emperor discovered Luke Skywalker, who his friend Anakin's son, that he, on the Death Star 2, was trying to bring Luke into the fold to tell him that he was the true Emperor.
So they're convinced that it's like a conspiracy.
And that Vader killed the Emperor because he was outraged, because he was being passed over, and the Empire was given to Luke. And
he's like, have you ever heard about the Skull and Bone Society?
Yeah, it's freaking... I had never heard that take before.
That is an interesting take.
But yeah, so I'm like 50 pages into that book. It's really fantastic so far.
Nice. Sounds like a much more compelling Star Wars character than, what's his name? Hallen Goth. Who's not compelling.
Yeah, Hallen Goth is like a 300 page looking for the magic inhaler. His chest was burning. He couldn't run. Yeah, very interesting.
He was not picked for dodgeball.
Yeah. How did he make it through the ranks of the freaking Imperial?
Well, I think he caught, he like developed the illness later on.
That's lame.
Yeah. I wonder where he caught his I'm a wiener illness. Where along in his career he caught that one.
I don't know. You're evil. You're the one.
Weak.
So we're right in a battle here, and Rogue Squadron's doing their thing. It's good to see Akbar back in his chair on Home 1 after being exonerated.
It's a real home one, if you ask me.
It's cool to see the interdictors on the...
Hardly know her.
That's how they knew where to shift an interdictor cruiser. Its gravity cone brought him out of with pinpoint accuracy. That's pretty fantastic.
The illustration for that is very good. What was the other illustration I really enjoyed? It's not on this page, but we're not doing chronological order anymore per your command. So the Nogri.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're listening very carefully, you might have just heard my father slam a door. That's how I woke up this morning. He doesn't believe in shutting doors softly.
Wham!
It scared the crap out of me. The dog started barking.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They thought there was an intruder. I was like, surely no one who lives here would treat the doors with such violence.
The Nogri?
No, Dad. The Nogri, I thought, were animated in a way that reminded me of the Mystics from the Dark Crystal.
Yes. Essence.
Yeah, the very long face. Well, the
Mystics are the Essence, but
you know who
that's what I think of every time I get the Dark Crystal.
The Heretic. Do you remember the Heretic character? He's in the...
You've rewatched it several times.
The Circle of the Suns. He's like kind of the silly Skeksis that's betrayed the others.
Dark Crystal Heretic. Yes.
So he's voiced by Andy Samberg,
yes.
And then his mystic companion is voiced by Bill Hader.
Mm-hmm.
And I just enjoy mentally picturing those two in the booth, like laying down the lines for those characters.
That was a really crazy show.
That's a great show. If you haven't watched The Dark Crystal, I'll always recommend it to all my friends, none of whom have actually taken me up on it.
It's on Netflix?
It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix exclusive. It is a TV prequel setup to the 1980s Jim Henson film The Dark Crystal.
It's a prequel to The Dark Crystal?
It's a prequel to The Dark Crystal.
Really?
Yeah, because there's a resolution to the whole problem in the film. This is more of an introduction to the civil war that you'll see between the factions.
What?
Yeah. I only say civil war because there was a one united kingdom. Even though they're different peoples.
That is crazy. Is the Dark Crystal Age Resist prequel? Yes.
Oh, you had to ask ChatGPT. You didn't trust me, huh?
No, I believed you. I just couldn't wrap my brain around it.
Yeah.
The Nogri looked fantastic in this one.
I really enjoyed it because I haven't really loved the way they looked previously. I did enjoy kind of the, I don't know, horse-facey alien kind of look that they gave them in this iteration. Do you think they were all illustrated at once?
I don't know.
Do you think they just were all working at the same time and they got later to compare notes? Because there's not a lot of unity between...
Well, the interesting thing to me...
illustrations for the alien races, IMO.
So I had my first introduction to the Nogri. The vast majority of my Star Wars book journey... in middle school, I read the Bounty Hunter Wars with Gudar Mubat. Which is... it's such a silly, fantastic series. But the first, I guess I would have been in 7th or 8th grade, I started reading the Legacy of the Force series, which to this day I probably see with extremely rose-colored glasses because everybody's like, yeah, it's okay. And I'm like, it's great.
I have tried maybe 5 times to read the first book because you got them for me.
Bloodlines?
No.
Betrayal.
Yes,
with Jason Solo on the cover.
I think I'm collectively maybe 90 pages in.
Okay.
I just keep really struggling to break through. Sometimes there's a book that's
it's 100-page mark.
There's you know what I mean though. A lot of times there'll be a book that has a slow start, mm-hmm. and you're like, I'll just persevere. Mm-hmm. It'll get sweet. Yeah. And then I'll be locked in. I'll crank it out in a day. Once I get locked in. Yeah. I failed time and again.
So what I would suggest, because this was my introduction to Mark Thompson as well. Hi, Mark. The audiobooks mm-hmm. are actually abridged, which I don't like, mm-hmm. but they are abridged. So he does a really, really good job, and they're 5 hours long. So that's like a day for you.
Maybe, well, I'll just man up and do it, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to waste 9 credits on it if there's just 5 hours. Because I like to use 1 credit for 45 hours, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I've got some audiobooks that are upwards of 50 hours for 1 credit. I've got one collection. It's a 9-book collection.
Nameless Dwarf?
Yeah. I got the whole thing.
They've never done that deal ever again.
Yeah, I don't know why. For some golden hour,
Let's check.
They combined all 9 books into 1 credit, and I have over 60 hours of Nameless Dwarf for the price of 1 measly credit. So I struggle to spend 9 credits on 45 hours. That would be a challenge for me. I'm an avid audiobook listener. I've listened to an ungodly number of hours in 2025.
Annals of the Nameless Dwarf, books 1 through 6. Add to wish list. But it's not available. That's confusing. It's 60 hours, but I can't get it.
That's odd.
This is very confusing. Okay.
I think that version of the book doesn't exist anymore.
But I say all that to say the Han and Leia had 2 Nogri bodyguards aboard the Millennium Falcon during the Legacy of the Force series. Yeah. So that was my first introduction to them. Mm-hmm. And the way that they're written, it's like the Nogri stayed on board. And then they get back on board and Han would be like, thanks, boys. And so I thought they were dogs this whole freaking time I was reading these books. And then finally I was like, what's a freaking Nogri? So I looked it up, and I'll put it on screen here, right at the 16-minute mark. This is what a Nogri looks like to me in my head. Okay?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So the Nogri, maybe they're wizened.
Predator, but without the dreads.
Yeah, they're much more, like this one looks much more predatory than in this issue. They look more like turtles to me. Like the neck is like reaching out.
Oh yeah,
know?
I can see that.
But yeah, their view is very cool. It's very rewarding to see plant life again on Honoghr.
Yes.
Which is very cool.
That was very cool. I liked that a lot.
You know, I was wondering, so...
The little sanctuary... excuse me. A little... it's very like Land Before Time-esque in the way that it's just set up in a valley.
The Great Valley!
Also reminded me of like the Panda establishment in Kung Fu Panda 3 or 4, yes. Whichever one it is.
Yeah, it's very... The Panda establishment is very traumatizing for you.
Why? What do you mean?
Because you said Kung Fu Panda, only one panda. Very impressive.
Oh yeah.
Put it on the road. Many pandas, not as impressive.
Yeah, it's the whole, I don't know, Tigger movie thing, I guess.
No, I agree. What's your take on? I was thinking about this, and The Last Command and Dark Force Rising really is where we hone in on the Nogri, the relationship to the Empire, and therefore the relationship to Vader, therefore the relationship to Lady Vader, which is Leia. So if they have all this, you know, like they're an honor-based society, like we said, and they're very, very excited to have the offspring of Vader in the camp with them, but then she exposes the fact that the Empire has been poisoning them for like 1,000 years. Why... Am I forgetting something, or are they just grateful to her for their newfound life on their planet? Wouldn't you think that they'd be like, oh, so you're the daughter of the man that poisoned the ground?
I would like to think that they recognize her as, you know, they're kind of their inherited overlord, I guess is a poor way of phrasing that correctly. And then I think they're more indebted to the House of Vader, as Kabarak calls it, because now they're doing right by the Nogri.
Yeah. She basically unpoisoned the water hole.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's very strange to me that she, again, this is some of those things that you get the details with the novel that you don't obviously get with the comics, but I was curious as to why wouldn't they be more like beholden to her just because of who she is versus like they're still obsessed with the fact that she's related to Darth Vader, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's maybe like loyalty that was misplaced, which transitioned into loyalty, which was earned.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
But seeing Luke on Honager with them is still really cool. And then I really was impressed with their workmanship. Like, you kind of get a feeling that the Noghri are just like kind of... they're not subsentient, but they're definitely seen as like a lower class citizen.
They're definitely more tribal, I would say. Or maybe like... Tribal's not the right word because you can have an advanced tribe, but it's less advanced.
But when you hear
the word I'm looking
Thrawn
for?
and Sabaeah talking about them, they're like, the Noghri, and they're like waving them off.
Well, I think it's just because technologically they are inferior.
Right, but I think like they're... what's the word I'm trying to say? Okay, so like technically, maybe this is wrong, but you get a feeling like just the way that the Wookiees live is technologically inferior as well. But they're obviously super, not just smart, but wise. Like, they have their own technology, but
I feel
Kashyyyk's no Coruscant.
The difference, though, is that the Wookiees live that way by choice. Like, I'm fairly certain.
Yeah, it was like last week that there was a droid killing the whole planet on Honager.
Right. There was like I think they're independently traveling in space.
Yeah.
They weren't an unknown planet that thought that
nobody knew about.
The battle was a war between the gods and that their planet was being smitten.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think there's just there's a difference of primitive living by choice and primitive living by necessity.
It's just interesting how quickly, maybe it's just their work ethic, but Luke goes there because he needs updated power cells for the X-Wing.
Yeah.
And then he says, you called this place the future of your world. Mm-hmm. The Noghri responds, is the future the Lady Vader gave the Noghri people. Here we cleanse the land of the Empire's poison plants. Here will someday be enough food to provide for all.
Well, you have to think only like one generation ago they were...
completely primitive.
They were completely independent as far as like providing for themselves and farming and everything. So it's not like they're ignorant of how to work the land. I think it's just
well, what I was going to refer to real quick
missing
was,
in the sciences.
He said, "It's impressive. What about my power cells?"
Dude, I really thought that the change in pace was like, power cells.
Yes,
you know, it's
it was.
Like,
and
I know that he's not like that.
Done.
Yeah, I know that it's not like that in the book, but it's man, is it everything? And then, you know, no outro there. Mm-hmm. It's he's having a conversation with Kabarak. There's not a closer. It's not like a 90s TV show where he's like, what time I pick you up? 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's none of that going on.
Yeah, and then you switch pages and we're on one of Lando's...
It's not... honestly, looking at this illustration, I'm sure that somebody would be able to look at that and know exactly what it is. I'm not that guy. This, to me, I thought that they were at the Imperial Palace in Coruscant.
Yeah, because the tones and the shadows and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it looks like they're inside atmosphere, but, you know, you move down the panel and they're in space on the dark side of a planet, and they've only got X amount of time before they're...
20 days until they're exposed and
orbit, moves into the light side of the planet, and I'm like...
Yeah, this is one of those cool umbrella ships that we talked about. But yeah,
it doesn't look like that at all. It looks like a pyramidal structure.
Now, I will say, what did you see on this page that popped out to you?
Let me see the page. I don't know.
There's something that I really wanted to say, but you hadn't read the issue yet, that I was very excited about.
Very excited about, you were saying. This one page. Mm-hmm. Is it Lobot?
Yes.
Honestly, I'll be 100% with you. I didn't even really realize that was Lobot.
A Lobot sighting.
It's curious that he probably had lines in the book.
Lobot?
Yeah, you have to think, right? Because he was Lando's guy.
He was Lando's guy, and depending on when the book was written and how Timothy Zahn felt about it, like Lobot in the new comics has a lot of personality, and then something happens, which if you want to go read, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody that's listening, but there's a moment where the headset comes on and that like takes over his personality because he's saving Lando's life or whatever, but he wasn't always that way. And I can't recall how long he's supposed to have lived after that.
I'm curious if that was kind of the inspiration. Sorry, because it's been a long day. I was curious if that was kind of the inspiration for that character in what's the name of it? Dark Lord or whatever. The one we just finished that I'm pissed off at.
Master of Evil.
Master of Evil. Yes, sorry. The character who was kind of the co-chair of the Robot Society Committee, who had the cyborg implants, and then
was trying to take the personality of the droid on the ship and put it in his brain.
Yeah, and it's kind of like overriding.
So what was he saying that he was going to get that was going to make him untold wealth from that robot?
I think it was
war schematics.
I think it was all of the knowledge that was contained in the command unit, because there was like programming matrices that were unparalleled at the time and hadn't been recreated yet. And so having the ability to recreate such an advanced, like, he was one of one, that droid.
Right.
So like there was the ones that were in circulation, commanding warships and stuff like that, and then there was this one.
It's just interesting to me that, like, okay, let's say that he could maintain his own personality and put that droid's chip into his head, and then he keeps his own personality and he just gains all of this.
I think that was more of a last ditch effort sort of thing. They didn't have any way to move the droid.
Right.
And so they just wanted the knowledge, so he downloads it.
Okay, so let's
I don't think that was like, he was like, oh, for sure, if I download this droid and have to compete for running my own body, I'll be,
Okay, so let's backtrack and say he gets the head of the droid safely off the ship, and they can put that on a new body, and he's got all the right, he's got his hard drive and everything going, okay?
Yeah.
I just don't see, I know that they inherited and took over all of the Techno Union's properties. But it's like, okay, dude, we're like 30 minutes into the Empire reigning, and you're like, Cybot Galactica is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I'm like, you're freaking, who are you again?
Yeah.
Cybot Galactica? Like, I don't care if you have freaking all of the brains in the droid. Like, you still have to...
I think he's just picturing in his mind what force the Techno Union was, and he's like, maybe we can achieve even greater heights.
Yeah. I do agree. I'm just saying the Techno Union was like...
Clearly it didn't work out.
1/5 of the Separatists.
Right, but I mean...
Okay, you have Techno Union, but guess what? Without the Mune banking clan, the freaking Techno Union and the Trade Federation don't have funds to make the battle droids. So who cares?
I mean, yes, but...
I just thought it was very...
To me, I'm like, I've watched so many like TV shows and movies where like the all-white basketball team somehow still stands a chance. You know what I mean? So there's somebody out there that believes in the underdog story.
Yeah, there was a portion of the book Last Shot with Han Solo and Lando Calrissian.
Yeah.
Where you haven't read that one, right?
No, I think the only side quest Lando Han book that I've read was Scoundrels.
Which was fantastic.
Fantastic read. Love Scoundrels. Haven't you read Scoundrels? Read it.
Also by Timothy Zahn, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh, it's him or it's Lucino.
Oh, maybe you're right. I think it's by Zahn. But
it's Tim Zahn.
Okay, but what I was gonna say was the point of the villain in that book, if I'm not mistaken, is they want to take over and basically make a way where all of the droids in the galaxy become a hive mind, and they're at whoever's behest. Mm-hmm. To me, that's like a way more believable iRobot type scenario. Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway, Lobot, pretty cool.
Pretty cool to see Lobot.
I just think it's funny that Lobot can be in the background, because all the comics and everything from Empire on, or whatever, try to paint Han and Lando as like this, but you have to believe that Lando and Lobot are like this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, Lando and Lobot,
they're independently, apart from needing to escape and overthrow the Empire, independently already working together by choice. Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just funny to me that he's not
tandem too.
Yeah,
because like whenever you see Han and Lando, they're friends in Empire. Like, I know that he says, after what you pulled, and he's joking around with them. Mm-hmm. But they're still, like, at least we see Han's POV coming from watching the rebellion and everything. But there's a massive amount of distrust.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the introduction from Talon Karrde Slicer of the my namesake in this comic, Samuel Gillespie, which basically, if me and Bill Gillespie from Heat of the Night had a baby, just names-wise, he's like, and the not entirely honorable Samuel Gillespie, or I think something along those lines. It's just like, everybody knows the reputation of everyone else, and they all make a living of kind of being underhanded. So it's like,
yeah, nobody really
I'll work with you because I have to, but I'm freaking not gonna put my life in your hands, you know?
Right. Which is a really good point that kind of segues into the back half of the comic, because you've got the Empire has found its way onto Coruscant, and they're trying to attack Leia and the twins, and then you have this weird moment where
you will kill Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, we have more and more of the "you will kill Luke Skywalker," and then Mara.
Oh, wrong one. Sorry.
Mara tells Leia, "I'm going to kill your brother, just so you know."
Yeah.
And Leia's like, "Does he know?" But it's all about the Emperor, and then she discovers, the Imperial agents on Coruscant. They're trying to kill, or at least kidnap Leia and the twins.
Yeah, and they're trying to dispatch Mara Jade. It's so interesting to me, just kind of skipping over, because it's intricate and exhausting at the same time. The whole, tit for tat going through the Imperial Palace, yada, yada, yada. Borderline unbelievable that there's not more reinforcements in, like, the stronghold of the galaxy controlled by the New Republic. And they can't scrounge up, like, three posse members to go, pin down this team of, like, 7 guys.
Yeah, we know that these people are headed up to take one of the 3 most influential people in the entire galaxy and her newborn Force-sensitive twins.
Yeah.
And she's married to a New Republic used-to-be general who's, like, the scoundrel in charge. And we have 3 guards.
Yeah.
And 2 of them have been taken out. And, yeah, Mara finds a way to save their life, which is pretty cool. And then we get down to the nitty-gritty of basically Talon Karrde's trying to...
sorry. Before we hop into that part, can we talk about how, like, stupid you have to be like, yes, the person who tried to, bust through our security and kidnap some of our leaders and their babies, let's take him at his word against the person who was single-handedly responsible for foiling their plans. That's a believable testimony that we won't even vet or question once.
Yeah, Mara Jade let us in. He's like, arrest her.
Yeah.
It's like, she just killed 3 people.
I'm like, my guy.
And she...
Like, why does it take Han and Lando being like, that doesn't make sense?
Yeah, and she communicates through the Force to Leia
to intervene on her behalf. It just... Yeah. It's so frustratingly stupid. I'm like, the Empire should have won. Yes. At this point, Empire should have won.
And that's what's going on, too. Which leads us into Talon being like, listen, all of the Republic people are idiots. I need your help to...
Yeah, pretty
much, He goes to all
the
smugglers, and there's a real motley crew of folks here.
There's a group. There's a group in there. I was enjoying the Trandoshan. You don't get to see those vocalized in comics very often.
Yeah, Trandoshan was cool.
They're usually, no lines villains or background characters.
Mm-hmm. And then it was funny because it says, we need to figure out what's going on, try to get them on our side. And then the Trandoshan says, you speak passionately, Karrde, but you do not persuade. And then Talon Karrde says, do I truly not persuade, Brask, or are you simply afraid to stand against the Empire? And he says, the Empire pays well for smuggled goods. And then this snake woman turns and it says,
I enjoyed this.
And for slaves as well, and for victims of kidnap, you are no better than the Hutt. And it's funny because he's like, and
Yeah, he's like, yeah, money is money.
yeah, exactly. We're all
It's like
bad guys here,
the Mr.
basically.
Incredible, meme. He's like, money is money.
Yeah,
Math is math.
math is math. The spiky freaking vampire looking dude was pretty cool in this one. And basically they're all saying like, hey, we're not in on this. And then Niles Ferrier, the Al from Home Improvement of Space, says, I'm Niles Ferrier and I can tell you flat out that minding your own business won't help if Thrawn wants you. And then this, this guy looks like? This character looks like he's from like Ben 10 or something.
He looks like what's
the gray like character from
Teen Titans?
Teen Titans.
Yes, that's
Teen
the
Titans gray character. I don't know.
His name's Gray Guy.
What's this guy's name? Let me see if I can find this guy. Yeah, I can't find this character. Who is this?
If you're...
Is it Beast Boy?
Yeah, that'll be it. If you're confused as to why we don't know that off the dome when we can make very, very niche Fievel Goes West references, it's because we weren't allowed to watch this one. But Fievel Goes West we had on VHS.
Yeah. Well, if Fievel Goes West is better than Teen Titans, come on now.
I'm just saying.
Who are we kidding?
I'm just saying,
No, but yeah, the
we're
kid
a product
that looks
of our environment
They
like
look
anyone
like
else.
Beast Boy. Niles Ferrier is basically saying like, look, dude, we can't just not get involved.
Yeah,
like,
that guy's kind of downplayed, I think, in this version of the story. I seem to remember
him being a bigger deal.
Talon kind of thinking of him as a bigger player. And for whatever reason, it is very firmly imprinted in my mind that his allegedly very hot lady bodyguard is also very important. And I can't remember for what reason.
Yeah, he says, I hear he pays well.
Do you also remember that
I don't remember
story
that at
arc? It's so deeply entrenched in my mind, and I don't know. It's important
I don't know.
in the book. I'm
I'll look it
fairly
up.
certain.
But yeah, Ferrier says...
What's that cat's name?
It doesn't say.
Not even in the back and forth?
Nope.
Little retort?
Let's see. Have
here,
you
Beast
also
Boy.
heard that he grabbed me off Nukov, confiscated my ship, and ordered me aboard a bomb-rigged intelligence bucket? And the guy says, were you paid for your trouble? He goes,
He's
of
like,
course
well,
I
obviously I was paid, but that's not the
point.
problem.
It is for me. Sorry, Karrde. I don't see any reason to stick my neck out.
That's
Very
very
well.
funny.
I think it's clear where all of you stand. Perhaps we can meet again. And before the meeting can be adjourned, the Empire has been led here. And they think that Niles Ferrier is in on it right off the bat. And then there's an alien here on one of these last pages that almost looks like Maz Kanata. Right here?
This one looks to me more like the...
A Celestin?
but no damage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
An Avenito. He says, on the other hand, perhaps not. Take a look just past Elor's shoulder. And then,
What in hell's name is that?
what in hell's name is that?
I like to give him kind of a hick vibe because he's smoking a corncob pipe out in space.
Yeah, he is. And then Talon Karrde says, Ferrier's devil, I think. Sometimes called a wraith. It is. Everyone ready? And then they're all ready. They have their guns. And I would like to say the devil is butt naked. The devil jumps
Again
down.
with this?
And kind of gives the Imperial's Edwin a surprise. Talon Karrde yells now. And then the final page, which is the coolest picture of the whole thing.
Pretty cool.
All of these
pretty
smugglers
cool.
and all of these gangsters have the drop on these Imperials. And then we don't know what's next just yet. The next issue picks up right there as well. But obviously we're done for this evening.
Yeah.
So, pretty cool. A lot happened in this one. And I think...
Dude, this one was booking it.
Yeah,
I
there's
think
a
this
lot
was,
going on.
I think there are issues that seem to be faster paced, but I think that's just because this one is so harsh in its transitions, but every single beat is
Important.
not filler.
Yeah.
It's all main line.
Yeah, you have
Story.
Mara's continued struggle with her past.
Yeah.
And
I mean, even Luke on Honegger, which
Yeah.
feels kind of like filler moment, it's kind of important
yeah.
because it's
Well, you
leading
see-
up to something more
Yeah,
important.
you see continued goodwill from the children of Vader towards the Nogri people, and it's not underhanded. We're like, I'm gonna land here and pat you on the back and then steal something from you. Like
Well,
he's just
now it's now you're kind of seeing more allegiance towards the New Republic and House of Vader as the Nogri would say.
Yeah.
Than to
House
the
of Vader
Empire.
is such a cool word.
It is cool.
Such a cool phrase. Yeah, like you said.
So that's it. I think it demonstrates very clearly a shift in
their loyalty.
in the allegiance.
Well, also, like, think about earlier in the storyline, the Nogri kept talking about, like, you know, you want us to break our oath, you're bringing danger to our people, you're bringing disunity amongst the tribes. And they mentioned at one time that it was dangerous for Luke to be there.
And they're like, but on the other hand, your sister's
really
done a lot for us, so why don't you come on in?
Yeah, and then both wing people said, this has been the honor of my family. You know, both of them are like, I'm going to go home and write a letter about this.
Yeah. This is going in my diary.
Yeah. So
this is going in my tablet for the night.
Yeah, exactly. but for instead of earlier, for every, it's not a bad idea. There were 3. You bring dishonor to our family.
Yeah.
And this time there was 1. We're sticking our neck out here, and there were 3.
Yeah. You even have
your presence.
Kabarak being like, need some help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just kind of lingering in the garage.
Yeah, I'm very excited. You know, if this were
it's like my wife when I'm changing our brakes or something. And need a hand?
talking there?
Yeah.
If this were a weekly TV show and we didn't know what was going to happen next, I would be most interested in obviously what's going to happen with Talon Karrde and all of those smugglers with the Empire breathing down their neck.
That's the cliffhanger, like 102 Dalmatians, Patches London Adventure.
Ooh.
What happens next on Thunderbolt?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Canine crunchies can't be beat. They make each meal a special treat.
I can't remember the rest of it. That was actually pretty
That was.
impressive.
I'm more impressed, that you got that far.
But I was gonna say
you didn't get further.
The action cut off. You want to know what's going to happen there, but just intellectually, like, I know there's some action, but I want to know what happens here.
Yeah.
The conversation near the X-wing, putting the power cells back together between Luke and Kabarak, I think is very, very important. I think Luke is underrated as a spokesperson.
It's because he's not his main line.
He's not his main line, but you think of...
He very quietly is an ambassador.
Yes. Like,
but it's more in deed than in word. You know, he's always doing something for somebody.
You think, we need someone to go talk to these people, let's send Leia.
Yeah.
And then the last person you would send would be Han. But somewhere in the distant
but
middle
unfortunately, it's kind of a package deal, you know?
Yeah, it's Luke is like the person who his persuasion is in his personage. Like, Leia's going to beat you up with logic, and then you're going to go, yeah, you're probably right, Leia. And Luke is the type of person, and you even get some of this in The Rise of Skywalker, where he's talking to Rey as a Force ghost, and, you know, he's not as disenfranchised, and he's had his moment in the sun, and he's, you know, he's more level-headed, I guess, if you want to say that, but he looks at Rey and he's like teaching her, and then like whenever he's there with Vader in Return of the Jedi, he's like, I know there's good in you, and his presence, being willing to give up his life to tell Anakin one more time there's good, is the persuasiveness. He's not there on a diplomatic mission, and it's interesting how him and Leia have the same effect but in such different ways, you know. Luke is the GOAT. That's just all there is to it. Yeah. We need more Luke content in canon that backs up the GOAT status.
Yeah, well, it kind of reminds me of, like, 99% sure it's Plato, not Aristotle, but Plato's Rhetoric, his book Rhetoric, where he talks about the different modes of persuasion, like ethos, pathos, logos. He's like, if you have relayed factually and emotionally why your argument is correct, and somebody still doesn't believe you, it's because they don't believe you. They don't believe in who you are as a person. Yeah. You haven't persuaded them of the goodness of your character, essentially.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because if the facts are the facts and I still don't believe, it's because I don't believe you delivered facts to me.
Right.
If it's someone that I know and they tell me the exact same thing, then it must be the truth.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know, whenever you're in ministry, the kids hear you every week as the youth pastor, and you could say something, and then I could come in out of the blue, and I'm your brother, but they don't know me, and I say something, and they're like, oh, wow. Yeah. I remember I was I was at a church one time, and I'd been there for a couple of years, and there was one particular individual that I was really worried about, and I remember just being really worried about this student, and then I had a guest come in, and the guest taught on Abraham, if I'm not mistaken, and butchered the story, messed up the story, couldn't pronounce some of the words and the places in the verses that he was reading. I remember sitting in the back and being like, okay, A, this delivery is god-awful, and B, like, does this guy know any of this? Because he's mispronouncing, like, all these words and locations and stuff. Obviously, it's Old Testament, so, like, there are weird words in there and stuff, but I remember feeling bad, and he was kind of preaching on some of the stuff that I touched on recently, and I remember being like, I feel bad for these kids because it's the same stuff I've been talking about, but worse. Not to toot my own horn, but this guy was doing a really terrible job.
Yeah.
And then we're at the moment where, if students want to come, talk to an adult or talk to a sponsor or whatever, or, ask for prayer or whatever. And the student comes up and is crying, and I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, well, so-and-so said this, and it really touched my heart, blah, blah. And it was such a humbling experience, and that's when I was like, it's God. It's just got to be God. It's freaking... If I say it, and somebody else says it, and they say it worse, but God gets through to them, then that's all that really matters. Yeah. But it's so funny that you say that because, it's just a new face saying something, and, obviously we trust that God's the one that ministers the word. But, I remember, I don't know if that's Plato or Aristotle either, but I've heard that term before where, like, if you deliver logic and they still don't believe you, it's because they don't believe the deliverer.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very, very good point. And I think that Luke has such, I don't know what word to use, but his...
It would be the ethos. It's the ethic of his character.
Yeah. It's just, he has such... aura, as the kids say.
Yeah, it's just like when he, it's demonstrated, I think, in the first book, too, when they're kind of in that casino, and they're like, well, it's Luke Skywalker, we should just ask him, Like, whatever he says.
Yeah. Whatever he says goes.
Pretty baller.
Yeah, he has such a, I don't know.
There's just a very quiet authority about him.
Yes. He has what Anakin would have had he grown, lived out his years as a Jedi. Mm-hmm. He didn't have it in his young age because he was so...
He's so brash.
Brash?
Mm-hmm. But I think his achievements were such that...
You had to believe
he would have grown
Yeah.
into a position of respect.
Yeah, it's funny because...
I mean, he was destined to be the next Grandmaster. Let's be real.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that they all thought that. And I think, unfortunately, there's... whether it's like hard teaching or maybe there was some jealousy amongst like someone like Mace Windu or whatever that held him back.
I don't trust him.
I don't think the boy's really the guy. I don't trust him. I can't. The boy's dangerous, I think he says.
Yeah. I always just thought the realistically, it's a kid. You know what I mean? It's a really young man, and and
how old was Anakin?
Basically, the assistant principal being like
20.
Yeah, maybe early 20s. But it's kind of like, have you ever seen that show with, what's his name? Danny McBride, called Assistant Principal or Vice Principals or whatever. It's him and Walton
Goggins. He's 22 in Revenge of the Sith, by the way.
It's him and Walton Goggins, and they're like kind of vying for the principal spot. But it's like...
that's gotta be funny.
He'll have beef with like some of the students. So it's just like, the assistant principal being like, I don't trust him. You know what I mean? It's just... the notion of it is so ridiculous to me.
Yeah. Okay, so he's 22. Let's check this out.
Dude, thinking about the decisions I made at 22.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mace Windu would have been 55 around Revenge of the Sith.
Dude,
the guy's half his age.
You got to think, like, how much more patience Mace Windu should have had.
Yeah.
You take him and you compare him to somebody of, like, comparable seniority, like Qui-Gon Jinn, and how much more cultivated Qui-Gon was as a Jedi in his like spirit and intellect.
Well, the thing that's interesting, the older I get, the more I appreciate Dooku. Like,
I can see I think part of that is that Dooku has been more well fleshed out as we've gotten older. We've gotten to see more roundness from his character.
Yeah,
but his separation, I think, was very well preyed upon by Palpatine.
But the
cunning of the Sith.
yeah, man, I would have loved to have seen a Mace Windu Dooku duel.
It'd be pretty sick.
Because I think...
But you have to think it wouldn't be...
Dooku is
the
greater duelist, I would say. But Mace is probably more powerful.
I don't know. I don't really want to know.
That's a tough...
Well, here's the thing, because you have Mace who beat Palpatine. Maybe you say Palpatine through the fight.
100%.
You know, it's...
If you read the Revenge of the Sith novelization... There's a freaking moment, I swear to God, when they come in there. I'm excited that book clip that I posted about with Houston Skywalker. I got to meet that guy sometime because he's this big Star Wars book nerd who lives in Houston. But anyways, we're reading that book, right? And I've skimmed through different parts. I'm very excited because he says he's an avid Star Wars book reader, and he says this is his favorite book of all time. But there's a moment where it's off screen in the movie, but the Jedi's come in, right? And Palpatine like signals for security or something of that nature, and is like, "Help! Someone help me! They're trying to overthrow me, and they're trying to kill me. It's treason, or whatever." And he's using his like frail old man voice, right? And the book says he turns and winks, dude. He winks. So you're telling me you don't think that Palpatine?
Don't get me wrong. I know he's a stone cold thug, but anyway, you have him kind of going toe to toe with Palpatine.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely holding his own. Yeah.
And I know that
when I say throw the fight, I don't mean that he would have dog walked Mace. I don't feel that way.
But like now we're doing transitive property where it's like Yoda pretty much lost to Palpatine, but Yoda was manhandling Dooku, and now you have Windu who's kind of like apparently more on equal footing martially with Palpatine than Yoda is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's hard to say. It would be really fun to witness.
It would be really fun. I wonder if somebody's put something together for that on YouTube. I'm sure they have.
Oh, there's got to be something out there. If somebody's got frickin' Malgus philosophizing with Vader telling him why he's not a real Sith, somebody out there has for sure put together a Windu Dooku showdown.
You know what it really comes down to for me of like, okay, who's more powerful is Yoda says that the dark side is not more powerful, but it's easy, it's more seductive.
Quicker.
It's a quicker fix, right? So like, when you watch Intervention and these people are like having like these fentanyl highs and they're like bent in half like a freaking pretzel. It's like, okay, so clearly that's a quicker way to get rid of your issues, but you could go get a job.
Yeah.
You could do like, it's the same concept of like you're abusing the things that are around you, aka the Force, to get your means to an end. But I say all that to say, in Yoda Dark Rendezvous, which is a fantastic book, I stand by. You should definitely read that one. Dooku has like this momentary Force vision of Yoda with Sith eyes, and it completely unsettles him. Like Dooku is very like, I'm in charge. I don't have any emotions. I'm very refined. You know, and it like completely unnerves
and
Dooku.
Boy, has he got nice pajamas.
He has fantastic pajamas.
Dude, there's a Dooku skin on Battlefront 2. It's exquisite pajamas.
That's freaking awesome. Oh, because he does fight in his pajamas that one time against Ventress in them.
So that's the only skin I use for Dooku is exquisite pajamas.
Yeah, that's the right one.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Also, it's like, it's a legendary skin, so it's like there's a little bit of clout with it.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah,
but
that makes sense.
It's hilarious and cool, which is like two of my favorite things.
Whenever he has this vision, I'll try to find it and send you a screenshot of the book. But basically,
we kind of get that.
It says that he was terrified and that it was clear to him that Yoda's power lied in the fact that he could keep the darkness at bay, and woe to the galaxy should he ever let the barrier slip and the dark side take Yoda, and he would be far and away the most powerful. So it's kind of like when Palpatine and Yoda are fighting in I mean, we're like an hour in, so we can cut this off soon. But when Palpatine and Yoda are fighting, Palpatine has nothing's being held back. And Yoda's fighting his adversary, and he's fighting the dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you make a really good point. Like, Dooku has let himself go.
Yeah.
If Mace, if he just goes, because
you have to believe that Dooku is a little more intimately acquainted with Yoda's real limitations than most Jedi would be.
Because he was his apprentice?
Yoda trained Dooku, so you have to think that he's got a lot more experience. He would have been the person who trained him in sparring. He would have been the person who trained him in, channeling different aspects of the Force. And if Dooku ended up there, he's got to know, well, Yoda's a little further down the road. I mean, there's his pride that's like, oh, okay, well, clearly this isn't going to be matched with our,
He knows...
demonstration of the Force, but...
Yeah, that I can't recommend Yoda Dark Rendezvous enough.
Well, I imagine
that final third is he's on, I want to say Vajun is the planet where Dooku has his castle in Legends, and they're meeting, and you have a flashback to when Dooku was an apprentice, or a youngling, really. And there's this game they used to play, and long story short, without getting into too much of the nitty-gritty, he can't beat Yoda, and it's really pissing him off. And he decides, you know what I'm going to do? I'm gonna let myself lose, and I'm going to let Yoda hurt me in the process, and that's how I'll win, is I'll embarrass Yoda that he hurt a youngling, or whatever. And they enter the little sparring arena, or whatever it is, and Yoda's like, I win. And Dooku's like, what? He's like, I win. And Dooku is like, what do you mean we haven't even started? He's like, you have determined you will lose. And in so doing, you will, whatever it is. And he basically reads his mind, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's like, so I win. You already have decided you will lose. So you lose. And Dooku's thinking about that when Yoda... I think that Dooku's like in like a memory trance thinking about that, and then there's a tapping on his window, and he looks outside, and Yoda's smiling at him outside of his window on this, it's like an acid rain planet or whatever, typical bad guy place. And Yoda comes inside, and he's like trying to bring an end to the war. They don't know who Sidious is, but they know that if they can convince Dooku to stop the war, basically, for all intents and purposes, he could stop it. Yeah. Because Sidious can't turn the wheels. He's the one puppeteering. But if Dooku disbands the Council of the Separatists, then really Sidious will just be, he'd have to start from scratch. And so he's trying to convince him to stop the war. And he just, he's talking to him. And he's like, I want you to explain to me why I should choose the dark side. And Dooku's like, what? And he's like, explain to me the dark side. Why so thrilling? Why so enticing? The dark. Yes, show me. And he's like, well, what do you want? And he's like, a rose. And he's like, what? And there's like some rare rose on the planet that they're on. He's like, and he holds it up and he's like, a beautiful rose I found in your garden. Make one for me, you will, with the dark side. And he's like, I can't make a rose. And he's like, but the dark side, so powerful it is. A rose I want. And he's like, what do you truly desire? And he's like, I said I want a rose. And he's like yelling at him. And he's like, do you want power? Do you want influence, wealth, love? You can have it all with the dark side. It brings it for you. And he's like, but a rose I want. A rose you cannot create. And he's like, well, you can't create a rose with the lightsaber. He's like, but the Force is in this. And all of us, and all things, it binds us. And he kind of mirrors his conversation with Luke. And anyways, he has that moment where in that conversation that he sees a vision of if Yoda opened himself up to the dark side. Because it's almost like the dark side is like so hungry to have its hands on a being that's so powerful. And it says that not even his master could hold a candle to the power that would be at his fingertips if Yoda decided to let the dark in. So I guess you make a good point. I would like to say that Dooku would defeat Mace Windu just because I very much prefer Dooku over Mace.
The whole Yoda dark side thing, you get kind of a picture of it in the Wills of the Force. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Wills of the Force, rather.
Wills of the Force?
The Wills.
Oh, the arc with the Force priestesses and stuff? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because Yoda has to basically defeat his dark portion.
Yep. That's when you meet the Temu Darth Bane.
Yeah. Gah. Don't even get me started. There's like one aspect of Bane's person that's like the coolest part of the trilogy, and it's when he has his Orbalisk armor. And they had to give him daggum samurai armor.
Okay, so the Stupendous Wave, who does like really long form videos, this one's only almost 4 minutes long, from 6 years ago, has 142,000 views. I won't watch it right now, but I'll tell you what happens later. Yoda finally reveals who would win in a lightsaber duel, Dooku or Mace Windu. Interesting. But yeah.
Anyway, this issue our show ended, maybe 7 minutes ago.
It's a Star Wars show.
It's a Star Wars show.
But yeah, I really like where this is going. I think this all started because we were talking about Luke.
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying Luke's character and his development, and we're seeing more of that, and we're seeing the confidence grow in him and who he is as a Jedi, and he's going to need every bit of that moving forward because of the treacherous road that's ahead. Because you got to think, there's only 4 issues left in the whole trilogy.
Dude, it's got to close out.
We haven't even seen we've seen like 3 clones from the Sparty cloning cylinders. And they're pumping out like 1 billion a day.
One great portion of this issue was they're finally putting some respect on Thrawn's name. He's kind of smacking around the New Republic, and Leia's like, "Oh, I definitely see why Palpatine put so much trust in him." I think they were like, "Oh, who's this Thrawn guy?" And they're like, "Oh my God, it's Thrawn."
Yeah, and Mara tells her like, "I don't really know that much about him. However, he
analyzes you, finds out your weaknesses
on a case-by-case basis. He's not a blanket theology for everything. He does everything.
Like, also, not too proud to back out if he thinks he's losing, which doesn't happen often, as you can see. Yeah. It's just like, does that help?
The truth is, at the end of the day, obviously, if you're listening to this, you've probably read the Heir of the Empire trilogy at least once, or you have an idea of what's going on. It's very similar to, the American Civil War or the Clone Wars. Like, with the American Civil War, the South, for the majority of the war, had the North pretty well handled. And obviously the Emancipation Proclamation taking place was a huge moment in human and American history, but it also greatly bolstered the ranks of the Union Army, which was a huge thing that turned the tide of the war. And then in the Clone Wars in Star Wars land, growing up, tell me if you feel differently, and then we'll be done with this, but the Thrawn trilogy and the wars with Thrawn against the New Republic in Legends feel a lot to me like the Clone Wars, in the sense that growing up, I always felt like the Republic was going to win no matter what. But as you read more material as the years have gone on, the Separatists were probably going to win that war had the war not been brought to a halt essentially by Palpatine.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think there's 2 trains of thought. One of them is that you can very clearly see that the Republic had the Separatist leaders on their back foot towards the end of the war. They were constantly moving around the Separatist Council. They were in hiding.
With Grievous?
Yeah. And, I mean, especially after the fall of Dooku, where there's not really one very competent head calling the shots. It's pretty helter-skelter from that point on.
Right.
But the other part of it is the Separatist army is just like printing money, essentially, where it reminds me of The Office, where Michael Scott's like, if this paper company goes under, I'll make another one. And another one, and another one. I've got no shortage of names. And he's like, Michael, and he goes, that's one of them. He's just like, the company doesn't matter to me. And so it's like, I think the means of success for the Separatists was so lacking in value that they were willing to just do whatever it took. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a bunch of droids. We'll just make more and throw them at the Republic again. You know what I mean? But I think the Republic's resources were much more expensive.
You have what's called the banking clan at your disposal. You have the money.
Yeah.
And
Well, and you see if you watch the Clone Wars too, the Republic's running out of money. You know what I mean? It's so I think it's
they keep having to re-up.
You could make an argument for either case.
Yeah. I think when I was growing up, I thought that the Republic was winning the war handily before the events of Revenge of the Sith, which is clearly not the case.
Right.
And then in the Thrawn
Clone Wars,
trilogy,
I think, makes it very clear that the Republic was kind of drowning.
Yeah. I think that when I think of the Thrawn trilogy, again, we're kind of seeing it now, like the New Republic is lost for words on what they're going to do. And I think that per Timothy Zahn's statements, unless something unbeknownst to Thrawn presents itself, there's not if you guys are playing chess and you both start and there's no guns under the table and there's no hidden pieces,
right,
and you have to follow the rules of chess, you're going to lose 99 times out of 100.
Yeah.
And I think we're really getting a feel for that. And so these next 4 issues I feel like are going to be really quick-paced and very desperate feeling for the New Republic. And then something really, obviously terrible is going to happen.
Yeah, I definitely think that this is a much weaker version of Thrawn than we get, I think, in canon Thrawn.
Oh, really?
I think Tim Zahn refined the character a lot.
Yeah, which I agree is going to make it even more egregious if they screw up his ending.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
his ending should be he's in Chiss space and they've defeated the Grisks.
Yeah.
That should be what happens.
We'll frickin' see, I guess. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
If you made it this far, man, you're a trooper.
Good for you. It's only been an hour.
Good for you.
We're doing great.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys are enjoying this journey with us. And, I know I am. We've got 4 more weeks of this particular concept that we're doing, and then we'll just get back to your normally scheduled weekly stuff, just talking about random BS.
Unless I decide that we need to do a series on the much more expensive and hard to come by Quinlan Voss omnibus.
The Quinlan Voss stuff would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun. But that would be easier to do.
An enormous deep dive into a very niche character, which I guess is kind of what we're doing here now.
That's what everybody, that's the 40 views we're going to get. But thank you for tuning in.
Like Kobayashi.
Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. And remember, the Force will be with you always, Luke.
And also remember, the only family value is me.
See you next time.